Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I'm Ethan, brought to you by the letter P for Pete. Hey, Pete, what's up today?
Not much, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. We've got, I don't want to call this one of our patented rambles, but we've got a bunch of stuff that we could talk about and go through. In 2016, you and I watched The Accountant, starring Ben Affleck. Kind of came out of nowhere, right? We're like,
100%.
What is this about? The Accountant? And it was, I don't want to say a cult classic, but I think it did surprisingly well, considering that we probably did not expect this movie to do well, right? 10 years later, we have finally gotten The Accountant 2, and we've both seen it.
We have. What did you think of the movie?
I have to say, I liked it. Using our rating system, I would definitely say this is a wait for streaming. It's not something that you have to see in cinemas. I like the pairing of a more mature Ben Affleck and John Bernthal. J.K. Simmons makes a very brief cameo, reprising his role. We do not see Anna Kendrick. And I think that generally The Accountant 2 is much more action-oriented than the first Accountant.
Oh,
Would you agree?
for sure. For sure. They definitely doubled down on the action.
Yeah. So the first Accountant, I thought that the plot was pretty rough around the edges at the beginning, but the story was pretty good, if that makes sense. Like the plot was rough, story was good, characters were good, and I really, really liked it. But one of the reasons I think you and I liked it was that it was kind of like hardcore accounting.
Yeah, it was
Like,
proper finance. Like it was proper accounting.
Yeah, and Affleck really pulled it off well. Like, I have to say, he really pulled that role off well with all the highlighters and the markings and the...
We have participated in our fair share of external and internal audits, and
True.
that felt like a genuine internal audit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little glamorous, right? Like we don't sit there and sit with a bunch of markers and write on the walls.
Yeah.
But the analysis was spot on in that respect.
Yeah. But it also, and it's really hard to make that translate to a big screen.
Yeah, exactly.
But I thought they did a fantastic job of making it a little bit dramatic. And like his explanation, I thought it was very good, right?
Yeah.
Then there was like the mystery about like his Airstream and, everything. I thought the first one was surprisingly fantastic. Yeah, definitely an underrated movie. 10 years later, The Accountant 2, obviously more of the same. But apart from one scene where there's some like math involved, it was much more of an action sequel.
Yeah, it certainly didn't feel like he was doing any quote unquote accounting anywhere.
No, it was more of a mystery unwinding, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it felt more like he was a mercenary for hire in this regard, which is not to say he wasn't, because that's exactly what he was even in the first movie. But in the first movie, he was like, his cover was that he ran an accountancy services firm. He was helping do audits, he was helping do tax returns, that sort of thing. And by night, he was like this unbelievably talented murderer for hire.
I think that's where the first one kind of like made some mistakes in the first one. Like it just wasn't like a very streamlined plot in terms of, is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? I got the idea that, the way that he went to prison, I thought was totally nonsense. And then the fact that he got out, like he escaped from prison, I thought was kind of nonsense. I thought it would have been better if he was just kind of like, I don't know, let's say bullied or something, or he was sticking up for someone and someone accidentally died. He did the stint in prison, and that's how he met, Jeffrey Tambor, right? The guy who kind of taught him everything about the mob.
The accountancy, yeah.
Yeah. And then he got out and he was basically, just, staying under the radar.
Yeah.
But the idea that he was working for all these kind of like crime families and stuff, I get that he is an accountant. And I guess the implication was because he was also like so adept at weapons and self-defense that no one really messed with him. Although to be honest, even that's not super logical, right? Anyway, there's a few mental leaps that you needed to make, but overall, we like the accountant. The accountant too was moved a little bit away from that and into kind of a plot of, hey, help me kind of unravel this mystery. And he kind of like uses his mostly military skills,
Yeah.
to do that.
I mean, I found her to be the most annoying slash unreasonable part of the movie.
Mary Beth Medina.
Yeah, because
That's interesting.
she
Tell me
knows what
why.
she's getting into. She knows this guy is basically a killer. She knows that
Yeah.
this guy is going to do whatever it takes by bending the rule and breaking the law effectively. But every step of the way, she's kind of like, oh, you can't do this. I can't be involved in this. Well, then why did you call him?
I agree with you. I didn't find it as, I think, off-putting as you did, because I think that, I mean, if you think about what's happened, she was passed on this role by J.K. Simmons, right? The
Yeah.
guy known as Ray King. And Ray King, remember, fell into this role. Like when you remember how this started back in the original accountant, it was just by coincidence that he took on this role, right? And then he kind of was now the person who is solving all of these cases because Ben Affleck was basically giving him like all this information. I think the fact that J.K. Simmons passed on his role to the character Mary Beth Medina, I think that kind of justifies that she knows, hey, I've got to work, kind of like with this undercover dude. I know I'm being fed all this information. She's already kind of like come to grips with the deal.
Right.
But I agree with you that she was a little bit squeamish about the violent stuff. I don't think she was like as squeamish about the breaking of the law stuff. It was just kind of like, hey, like not in front of me. Like, like,
Yeah. All right. I mean,
but
okay.
I agree that's a good example. And to be honest, it's a good example of why you should really hire the Films and Stuff podcast team.
Yeah.
Because I think that these are the mental leaps that you can, like, if it were me in the writer's room, I'd say, guys, hold on. Let's workshop this out a little bit. There's got to be a better way that we can do this. Why are we making these things like so incongruent? And that's one of the things about filmmaking that I think bothers me and you is when you've got like a plot and there's just kind of like these gaps or these mental leaps that you need to make, but they're not necessary. You could probably like think about it and work out like a much more compelling way to structure it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think this is a good example of that. But overall, I kind of like the idea of it was good that they got away from the original accountant. Like it wouldn't have been cool if they kind of would have done the exact same thing and just done another mission. I kind of was expecting, Affleck and Bernthal. I
Yeah.
thought like him and his brother, I thought they would have kind of been like a team by now. Like I didn't like it that they were like, they said like, oh, we haven't even seen each other since, the accountant won.
Yeah.
Right. They basically said like that was the last time we even saw each other. I thought it would have been good if they would have been like, now they're their own like duo
Yeah.
and they're doing everything together. And they got pulled back into this thing. And Bernthal's like, why? We've got a very, very lucrative business. You're the brains. I'm the muscle. Everything's going well. Like we've got this really good, thing going. Why are you getting sucked back into this thing? And I thought that would have been like a little bit of a better way to
I
do
think
it.
that would have been interesting. I think that would have definitely been.
You know.
Ultimately, I think that the movie was still fun to watch.
Yep.
I just don't think that it's one of those ones that was like a sleeper hit. Like the first one I thought was much
No.
better. Personally, I enjoyed it more. I
I agree.
still enjoyed this,
Yeah.
but I think that this is something that I would keep on in the background at home. Like I wouldn't have gone to the cinema. Of course, I did go to the cinema, but that's not my point. My point
Yeah.
is, I wouldn't recommend you need to go to the cinema to watch this. I think you'll have
No.
equally a good time watching this at home.
Yeah. I have to say, as much as I liked it, I really wish that you and I would have been hired, even on a pro bono basis, just to kind of advise on some of the things, because I thought that there were just some of these glitchy little things in it that were a little bit unnecessary and detracted from what could have been like a really, really decent movie, you
Yeah,
know? And that's what bothers me is when these things don't kind of like live up to their potential. So for
yeah,
example, I get that Bernthal's supposed to kind of be the badass, but you know, like this one scene in the opening scene where he's like rehearsing this monologue again and again,
yeah,
right? And you're made to think that he's got like a baby, right?
yeah,
And that he's gonna ask the mother, like, hey, can I see my son? And it's about adopting a dog, you
yeah,
know, like this is kind of like I get the idea that like it would have been great that he wanted to always adopt a dog, adopt a dog, adopt a dog. He could never pull the trigger, like, you know, something was happening, right? And he never did it. And, you know, Affleck's character is like, look, you keep talking about a dog, you never adopt a dog, you know, like just go for it, or you're a cat person, which I thought was great, right? And then Braxton, you know, like finds a cat, and the cat's like always following him around in battle or something, and he saves a cat and like puts in the backpack and like gets it out of the building before it blows up or something. Like I thought that there was a better way to kind of take these tropes, but I felt like they took some not bad ideas, but they just kind of like ruined them in a way, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Yeah,
I
they were underbaked. Let's put it that way.
yeah.
Maybe not ruined, but I think that
Oh,
you're
that's a
right.
good way to say it. Yeah,
There's definitely potential that they could have followed through on that humorous aspect of the show
yeah,
if they wanted to.
yeah. I felt a little bit queasy, I have to say. Like, I love that I can't remember what the name of this academy is, like Hudson Academy or something that he's
Yeah,
always been supporting, right? And it's got, you know, the lady who calls him, you know, Dreamboat,
yeah.
right?
And there's super team of like children soldiers now.
Yeah, like again, I liked it when it was more on the down low and
Yeah.
not like so institutional,
They've
you
got
know?
like a CIA op center now. And
Yeah, like,
I didn't like that. You're right.
yeah,
Actually, that's probably the biggest, not flaw, but that's probably the
yeah,
biggest like red flag for me in the movie.
yeah,
I liked that in the first one, it was just this one challenged lady who
yeah,
he knows from his childhood, and they
yeah,
became good friends. And they were able to
yeah,
kind of keep that up because she's actually a super smart genius that's overlooked because of her condition. And she uses that to her advantage. But now
yeah.
they've got like a little op center. They've got three
I know,
kids working for them, and each
I
of them
know.
are on a challenge. I was just like, oh, yeah, I don't think you need that.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit much, to be honest. You know, it was, I have to say, the one thing, it was cool to watch them go through the process, though.
Yeah,
A little bit scary as well, but it was cool to watch them go through the process of, hey, like, can't get her face from the CCTV. Oh, wait, someone took a selfie. Let's find out who it was. Like, I thought that was kind of a cool process, but I thought it was a little bit too much. And maybe it hit home like a little bit too much on the nose, like how intrusive it was into the privacy and
yeah.
stuff like that. You know, like, oh, like, okay, turn her TV volume up so she's distracted. Get her printer printing so she's distracted. Ring her doorbell so she's distracted. It was just, I thought that was a little bit too slimy. And because they're supposed to be the good guys, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And all this to get a selfie.
I think there's better ways to have done that. But anyway, that is The Accountant 2. I definitely think everyone should see it, but it's for me, wait for streaming. It's not really something you need to see in the
100%
cinemas.
agree. It's a wait for stream.
All right, Pete, let's ramble about some stuff if you've got a few minutes. We watched Citadel on Amazon Prime. Oh my God, 2 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
And it stars the double handsome, but equally crap actor, Richard Madden, right?
Bless. Poor guy, man.
Poor guy. He's just so handsome and has no skills as an actor. So I can give that compliment and criticism at the same time. Priyanka Chopra, who's pretty as all get up,
Also can't act out of her paper bag.
could not act out of a paper bag. And especially, I could see her acting as someone's like wife. I cannot see her acting as a top class Citadel spy agent. And then Tucci, who must have been like, why did I get these two idiots? Like, how am I supposed to make this scene work? Right? Like, so we roundly panned. We thought Citadel was equally brilliant as a creative series and equally awful in terms of casting, plot, acting, everything else, right?
I stand by my original complisalt, which is a compliment and insult,
Oh,
which is to say, conceptually, what the Russos came up with was absolutely brilliant,
so brilliant.
right? To have one show and have multiple spin-offs in different parts of the world and kind of create your own Citadel verse.
So good.
Brilliant. Problem was, because they're the Russos, Amazon said, how much money do you want? 200 million? That's not enough. Here's $1 billion.
Yeah.
And then Amazon said, you're the Russos. You made 2 or 3 of the most successful Marvel movies, which is the most successful movies of all time. We're going to cover our eyes, plug our ears, and we're going to go sit in a dark room for the next year and a half while you come up with this concept. No oversight whatsoever. And that's the problem with someone like the Russos. And don't get me wrong, they're great. But even if it's a check for $1, there should always be oversight. Yeah, and if the directors and if the producers have a problem with that, well, screw you. We'll go with someone else.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, conceptually it was great, but again, I just felt like, and I'm really surprised that the Russos were kind of like so tone deaf on it. Again, like just the casting right away, I would have thought like someone should have just kind of said, hold on, hold on, hold on. Like, let's just look at the people that you're casting here. They absolutely don't look like people who are Citadel spy agents. Get someone who's a little bit grittier that you can believe in. Oh, you want them to be like romantically linked? Try to find people that you kind of see as, I mean,
A couple together. No chemistry.
Richard Madden, first of all, just physically, Richard Madden strikes me as very, very tiny. I don't know what his size is, but he strikes me as one of these double handsome, but very, very petite men. Yeah. Priyanka Chopra, like, I'm not saying like body shaming, but she is not like a waifish woman, right? Like, I feel like she is a normal sized, beautiful woman. They don't look like they're a couple. They're not the same shape.
There's zero physical and emotional chemistry between the two of them.
Totally agree.
There are other actors out there, both male and female, that would be far more suitable for spy shows. And even if
Yeah.
you want to say, okay, I want Priyanka Chopra, fine. Find someone who's a better match for Priyanka Chopra. Or if you say, I want Richard Madden, fine. Find a better match for him. Those two are not a match in any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all.
Theoretically, after the Eternals, you might believe that Richard Madden is possible, right? Because he played the Superman-esque figure in that movie. Fine.
Not really.
But
No.
Priyanka Chopra, 100% not. And especially as like this quote unquote kick-ass spy who's supposed to be able to take down. Look, this is going to be a problem, or not a problem, but this is an issue in a lot of movies where you see these relatively physically smaller women take on men. And I'm not saying that's impossible. Certainly, I could have my ass handed to me by a whole variety and number of women around me. That's not the point. The point is that there's, especially in a Hollywood show, there still needs to be some level of credibility or some credulity. And this wasn't it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Letty from the Fast and Furious series, right? She's someone I believe could kick my ass in real life, whether she can or not. And she probably can. And she could probably kick anyone's ass. That's believable. Priyanka Chopra? Absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you is that this should not be a political thing, but I feel like there's a movement that's like, well, women can do anything that men can do. And in a lot of respects, I would say that's not only right, but women can do it better.
Yeah.
But fighting, apart from a few of the MMA women, is not the case. And to be honest, I'd much rather have a like I don't mind Priyanka Chopra knows a little bit of self-defense and she can, like I don't know, like she can do like she can use her brain and like throw something at the guy or like make something fall or like come out and swing at him. Kind of one of these like work smarter rather than harder things. I'm totally okay with that if she can defeat someone and get away. But like just in terms of the hand-to-hand combat and like the punching and kicking, it's nonsense. It's just totally nonsense.
Go the way of like the Matrix, right? Carrie Ann
Yeah.
Moss was
Yeah.
believable when she's taking on Agent Smith and the robots because she's got all that knowledge of kung fu and martial arts and shooting and everything.
But even Carrie Ann Moss in The Matrix was not wanting to engage him directly.
Because she was just like, I know when I'm going to lose. I know when I'm going to win.
She was like, I know how to escape. And I know how to like, okay, I can take like a guy in the street. I can push him off his motorcycle. I can take his motorcycle. I can run away. But she was not like a hand to hand, straight to Agent
She
Smith
took on a bunch of the regular police officers at the very beginning of the first movie.
Yeah.
That was a kick-ass scene, and she pulled it off.
Yeah.
Nothing Priyanka Chopra did in the 8 episodes of Citadel or 10 episodes or whatever it was.
Six.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nothing she did made me believe that she could take any of them on.
No. So, as negative as we are on Citadel, I raise this because, and this was in 2023, so this was kind of like 2 years ago. Last year, 2 more Citadels were released. One of which you saw, one of which I recently saw. You saw
Honey Bunny.
Citadel Honey Bunny, which is the Indian prequel. And Honey Bunny refers to
Priyanka Chopra
as a kid. And her mom, it's her mom.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Honey is her mom.
And I thought, I've watched 2 episodes of that. And I have to say, I think that's done very, very well. And I love the character. And I love that it shows kind of how Priyanka Chopra as a Citadel agent came about, right? I thought that was quite good. So her daughter, right? She's living in hiding with her daughter, Nadia. And then Nadia is Priyanka Chopra's character.
Correct.
Okay. What would you rate Citadel Honey Bunny? What's your rating?
I gave it a mooch someone's password.
Okay. I recently watched Citadel Diana.
Yeah.
And this is not a prequel. It is in the future. So this is kind of like post Citadel. And I thought that Citadel Diana, which also came out in late 2024, was fantastic.
Okay.
So again, if you remember the original Citadel, Citadel is kind of like the international borderless, governmentless agency, the good guys, right?
Yeah.
It's Richard Madden and Priyanka. And their nemesis is the international crime syndicate known as Manticore, right?
Okay.
In Citadel Diana, Manticore, they have wiped out Citadel, allegedly. There is kind of like a different Manticore in each country, So there's like, think of it as like the mob, but there's like a mob boss in each city or in each country, So there's Manticore Italy, Manticore France, Manticore Germany. These are the only 3 that, to be honest, we're exposed to. And Diana is originally a Citadel agent, and she goes like undercover and gets hired by Manticore. And then when Citadel is wiped out, she is like the last Citadel agent, but on a day-to-day basis, she's working for Manticore. And that's kind of like the plot in terms of that. I thought it's fantastic. It stars this Italian actress, Matilda De Angeli, and she is like, I don't know, like instantly fell in love with her. She's fantastic. She is extremely tiny. And of course, she's got the same type of fighting capabilities as we saw Priyanka Chopra had in the original Citadel, which I found not believable. But to be honest, she's a very, very skilled martial artist. Like she must have trained, either she has a background in like some type of martial arts and fighting, or she must have trained extensively because she's very, very good at it. But I thought that this is a must subscribe. I really, really liked it. I have to say, it has all the same Citadel Russo hallmarks. Like you said, Amazon gave them 200 million, or they asked Amazon for 200 million and Amazon gave them 600 million. I mean, the production value is very, very high. I mean, everyone is dressed in Italian luxury clothing, right? Everyone's got beautiful loafers on. Every scene, they've got a different pair of like smart trousers on, the jackets, the dresses, you know, the sunglasses and accessories, the cars that everyone drives. Spared no expense, definitely on the production value. But I really, really liked it. And I have to say, it takes place sometime in the future. I don't want to say it's kind of like a 2030 implication, but it might be. But there's definitely a much more sci-fi / tech slant to it, where, you know, kind of the weapons are more techy and sci-fi-ish. Some of the capabilities are more techy and sci-fi-ish. A lot more things in terms of, I don't know, everything's kind of like digital and wireless and electronic. It's definitely not analog, you know, like Honey Bunny was. So I have to say, I think it's fantastic. In terms of it being a Citadel series, apart from the fact that the lady works for Manticore, apart from the fact that they make references to Citadel, this is really a standalone miniseries.
Right.
Like there's no crossover in terms of characters. There's nothing else like this. There's definitely going to be a season 2 of this. Like it ends in that way. But I thought it was fantastic, and I would highly, highly recommend that you watch Citadel Diana if you get the chance.
Okay.
That's my take on it, but it's given me, and I'm going to start Honey Bunny now. I've watched the first 2 episodes of Honey Bunny, and I really liked it, I have to say. So for me, these 2 Citadel series have kind of like redeemed the franchise a little bit. Not so much as it makes the original Citadel palatable to watch. It's still insufferable. But I think that in terms of like the franchise itself, I can say that I've got better vibes about where it's going if they're going to keep making spin-offs like this.
Okay.
Anyway, that is our little ramble. All right, my friend, before we go, do you want to read off our social media creds so that everyone can write to us, agree, disagree, make suggestions, comments, feedback, and so forth?
Absolutely. DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast. The best thing you can do, however, leave a comment below, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell.
He could not have said it better myself. It was a pleasure talking about The Accountant and other stuff today. And we will be back next week to discuss Ballerina, a John Wick something spinoff on the next episode of the Films and Stuff podcast.
All right. Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.